What's good, King Ganda? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another YouTube collaboration. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell. And today I'm here with one of my good YouTube friends. I've been collaborating with her for a few years now. She's a very talented creator, and I'll let her introduce herself and what she does. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me on again, O'Shea. It's been some time. I'm happy to be back. So my name is Roya Urey, and I am a Liberian. I lived in the U.S. for 26 years after fleeing war from Liberia in 1990. Moved back 26 years later. I'm here now. I'm doing a lot. I'm trying to, one, change the narrative of the entire continent, but most importantly for me, my little country of Liberia that has been plagued with, images of war and Ebola over the years. So trying to shine a little light on the positive that is in our country, because there's so much negative, and we have enough news coverage on those things. So I try to just, shine light on not only places, tourist attractions, entrepreneurs, young Liberians who are doing great things. So I'm a new vlogger to the scene, but I enjoy it, and I hope I get to do more this year.
And you're a very talented creator. I remember when I first started following you, I typed in Liberia, and then I saw your channel, and you just had a lot of your excellent content creator. And a lot of people have seen you now with, Wody Maya's channel and other people's channels. And one of the things that I liked about your YouTube strategy was the real talk with Philomena, when you would have the wine. And I don't know if you were making that content to kind of maybe as an outlet for yourself, but you were talking about some of the hardships that you had coming from Detroit. You're doing very well in Detroit. You had attained, really good education, really good standard of life for yourself, and you moved to Liberia. What made you make that jump? Because you're doing so well in the United States. What made you come?
Yeah. So I talk about it a lot. Growing up as a child, like a first generation American, my mom and I moved to the States in 1990 to escape war, and it was like a temporary asylum type thing. We didn't know that the war was going to last for that long. So, I think, O'Shea, we've talked about this before. Growing up, being African in America, like that was the most embarrassing thing. We were called African booty scratchers. God forbid you come home, come to school with the scent of whatever stew was being made that morning. I'll never forget. I went to school in middle school, and I smelled like smoked fish. And I was teased about that for from sixth grade all the way through our entire lives, because we're all still friends. So those kind of traumas, they stick with you. So I think when you grow up in that space, and everyone around you is American, you try to assimilate, to what you're around. And, in any household, in any culture, we all we want to, push away from our parents when we're younger. So I didn't really have that connection. I first came back in to visit. My father never lived in the U.S. He was in the government, so he stayed throughout the war. Before the war, he was employed with the government in law. He was a chief justice and other areas. So he would come and visit us twice a year in the U.S. So I came back for the first time in 2001 to visit my father. I was very young then, still in high school. So again, no real connection with that. But one thing I started to do was, I think around 2009, my father got sick here in Liberia, actually, and that prompted another trip here. And then when you see other young people doing, good, I have cousins who've lived on the continent for their entire life. They're doing great. They have businesses. They're so young. They're thriving. It starts to the wheels start turning, right? But still, that wasn't the thing that pulled me in. Oddly enough, maybe not even odd, but the thing that really kind of sucked me in, my father passed in 2013. And that was rough. That was very rough, us being there and him being here. But thank the Lord, I have great family here that was able to set everything up. So it was just like an easy thing for us. But once I came for that, it was almost like this emotional tie, not only because of my dad, but just I was growing up. I think I was 27 when my dad passed. You know, I was growing up. I'm seeing my cousins doing amazing things. My friends that I've grown up with my whole life, they're here. And we talk about this all the time. It's a very different life, you know, between living in the US and here. Um, but then again, I still wasn't completely sure. So while we were here burying my father, my mother, who's also Liberian, she has been having this yearning to come back to Liberia for a long time. All African children, I think, can relate to this. If you are in the diaspora, all your parents want to do is go back home. Like they talk about it all the time. So she actually interviewed for a job and got it. So within that short time frame, my dad passed. He's buried here. My mother's moving. So I started to panic a little bit. And then I really, you know, started to come and visit more. I would visit, you know, twice a year. And then I would book my ticket for 2 weeks, but then I end up staying for like a month and a half. I never wanted to leave. And every time I left Liberia, I would sob, like I would be bawling on the plane. Like it was just something that was really close to my heart. But still, I had that leg in America and I had that life. Like you said, I had my business, I had my friends, I had my whole life there. So it took some time. So that was 2014 when things really started to, you know, move. My mom came, I was visiting. It wasn't until the opportunity presented itself in 2017. Well, 2016, I started to kind of figure out or try to figure out where I was going next. When I was in Detroit, I had a PR firm for about 8 years, and we worked mostly with NFL players. A very small PR firm, just me
Hmm.
basically, and some
Hmm.
interns. But I was at that crossroads where it's like, do I go and get a whole new rack of NFLers, which you already know, Shay, that is like, whoo, Lord. Like the stress. I mean, the money's great, the experience is great, but the stress.
Hmm.
So it was really like a crossroads. And then gentrification was happening in Detroit at the time, especially in downtown and midtown. Dan Gilbert started buying things up. You know, the one of the blackest cities was looking very, you know, different.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but you know, so I was really at a crossroads, and then it just timed well that my uncle here in Liberia was running for president in 2017.
Hmm.
Um, I saw that as a sign, and I just said, "Hey, let me try it out. Let's see, you know, even if it's for 1 year, you know, it's not a bad resume builder, you know, and I get to go home and I'm with my family." So that was the step I finally took. Was like, okay, I have this now. I know what I'm doing, and I finally made that leap in January 2017.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this because actually you're one of the experts that I would say that gives a lot of information because it's not like you visited, you know, Liberia. Even me, I was in Uganda for a year last year, but you know, I wouldn't be able to speak to it like you can speak to Liberia because you've been there for like going on like maybe like what 3 or 4 years now.
This is, yeah, I'm entering my 5th year now.
Fifth year. Okay. What were some of the challenges? And obviously you have family there, so that's a good plus.
Yeah.
But what were some of the challenges getting adjusted, moving full time, not just visiting, because obviously
Yeah.
you were coming back and forth. What was the biggest, some of the biggest hurdles and challenges that you, if you could look back at it then, you could say now that you would have tried to be ready for that you weren't expecting?
Right. I mean, I think the whole experience, you know, like you said, visiting and living are two different things. So once you're here, the things that we don't think about in the US, when you pay rent in the US, you know, it comes with ACs and, you know, a refrigerator and all these different things. Like it's built in appliances, right? And those are things you don't ever have to worry about. You know, your dishwasher breaks. We don't even, I've seen one dishwasher in Liberia, I think, one at my aunt's house. But you know, you have your maintenance guy, or if you own a condo, you have your, you know, association, all these different things. Here it's like things that you would have never thought about, you start to realize, especially coming from America in the bubble, right? I call it the bubble now because there were so many things that I was really in that American bubble that I really did not realize. I mean, this, I'm going to tell on myself, and maybe somebody go say I'm dumb in the comments, but I did not know that daylight savings time only happened in the US. You know, those are those, I mean, small things, but you know, we really in America, we really do live in a bubble. Things that happen our way, and it really doesn't mimic it anywhere else in the world. So I am a 30-something-year-old woman now, and I'm learning to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, centimeters to meters, kilos, pounds to kilos. They sound very like minute things, but they make you realize like that you are almost like an alien to a place that you thought, you knew a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just being an American, an American, or it could be the same for somebody from Europe, from France, from the UK. There's always been this divide in Liberia about the people who stayed and went through the war, and then the people who left. So there's already that divide there, right? And then you have this. It's so in America it's like black skin or the dark skin versus light skin, right? That's like that's the divide. Where here we have the native people, and Liberia has 16 tribes. 16 tribes here, and there's a hierarchy apparently to the tribes that I'm still learning. And then you have us, the Americo-Liberians, who some people argue it's a tribe. I don't think it's more like an ethno group. So there's a divide there. And then I am like Lebanese, or I have quarter Lebanese in me, which I don't even like to say because people here are very open about, I don't want to say they're racist, but everybody's an equal opportunist when it comes to offending people. And it's funny.
Okay.
It's like white woman is something I'm called all the time. Let me clarify this again because people are getting so mad. When Africans see someone and they, or Liberians see someone, it could be O'Shea. O'Shea comes with his American accent. They might not say white man, but they'll say American man. I get white woman. Sometimes I get Chinese woman. Sometimes I get Lebanese woman. My nickname here is Hez I'm not going to tell you the whole thing because I don't want anybody knocking on my door, but Lebanese affiliation. And it's like, it's supposed to be offensive, but it's not because everybody's so open with it, It's just like that's just how the culture is. And you have to assimilate to that. You have to assimilate to getting back into this group. And in Liberia, we speak English. English is the major language, but even the tribal dialects are not used a lot anymore. And that actually goes back to the whole colonization of Liberia, the subject that's very touchy for some folks, for everyone, in fact, because I'm learning the repercussions of all of this. But there's accents, right? And I definitely have an American accent. Then you have like, I force my Liberian accent when I can. And then you have colloqua, which is like the slang, the popular, like Ebonics, something like that. So those simple things were they were like the most challenging, for me. But then you have like things that you'll probably laugh at, O'Shea, and the viewers. I can't drive in Liberia. I cannot drive. I only drive on Sundays. People think it's a very bougie thing. Oh, you have a driver. No, I have a driver for my health and my wealth and my like sanity. Because literally everything you learn in driver's training in America, throw it away. Throw it away. Like nobody signals. The horns, it's a soundtrack. During the day, the night, the horns, they like honk to say hi, they honk to flip you off, whatever it may be. I always compare it to a live Mario Kart. Remember Mario Kart? Turtle shells be going. There's that is what driving is in Liberia for me. So, and coming from the Motor City, I have my little Jeep Grand Cherokee. I love driving, and I will not touch the car unless I absolutely have to. And then like things like security checkpoints. Checkpoints are not something that now I guess y'all are kind of used to it after this capital C in America. Something new, but yeah, so just things like that, they really became challenges for me, but I worked through them. And then of course you have the stupid, one of the Real Talk episodes I think you're talking about, I talked about how many things I blew up when I tried to plug in here. Yeah. They tell you get a converter, get a step down, which I thought I did. But I blew up a rice cooker, a DVD player, my ring light, everything that you could think of. And then when you do those types of things, you don't have access to Target or like Amazon where you can easily, order it, to ship things here is a whole nother ball game. And one thing I do appreciate that over the years things have evolved a bit. So now you see young Liberians coming up with companies. I work with a company called West Africa Shop, and they do the shipping logistics. So you order online, and you have it shipped to their warehouse. They have it flown over. They go through customs, because getting things through customs and getting cleared is a whole nother ball game if it's at the port or the airport. And then they deliver it to your house. But yeah, so when I first started, there was nothing like that, or at least I wasn't aware of it. So those were the first world conveniences were basically gone. But again, you adapt. I love Starbucks. I found a coffee that I like here, or you like hot Cheetos. Well, I will say this about the hot Cheetos though, because I'm from Detroit. We like hot Cheetos in all forms. Cheetos, fries, popcorn, puffs, whatever you want to call it, whatever brand, whatever style. And then you have these, you go to the grocery store and you see Flamin' Hot Cheetos on the shelves, and I'm like, yes, I got it. But it's the Lebanese formula or the Arab world formula, so it doesn't taste like the hot Cheetos that we eat in America. So that was disappointing. But now with West Africa Shop, I get my monthly little fix for the things that I miss at least. So yeah, so just really changing everything in your life, and setting low expectations, or getting to the point where you can have that mental. Because I think a lot of people come from Western worlds and come to Liberia or Africa or anywhere, and they're on this fast pace, and everything is very slow, and things don't happen in your own time. And time, it doesn't work only on you. It's dependent on a whole ecosystem, and usually that ecosystem is late, always late.
Let me ask you this, because you went through a lot of things, talking to you offline,
Hmm.
and even watching your videos. There's been some challenges for a person that doesn't, that, let's say if they were to pick, because you have a course actually on this, which is a very good course.
Hmm.
Especially a lot of African Americans are interested in coming to Africa, and you have Caribbeans, people who don't have anybody that's like me. It took me like 13 times to go to Uganda to get it figured out. So people who are looking to just, the Gambia is hot, and places, Tanzania, people are going there a lot, Ghana, maybe Liberia, Sierra Leone.
Hmm.
So what are some of the things that you're going to say if a person says, you know what, I want to come to Liberia, I want to move to Liberia? What's the first thing that you will tell them?
I will tell them, great, but you need to visit first.
Why
Um,
why that?
uh, you know, there's so much into that, right? There's so much packed into it. But I say this all the time because, again, I show the positives on my vlog. Um, and people get, wrapped up in this fantasy. Oh, they see the beautiful beaches in Liberia. They see the mountains, and, where every Sunday I'm on a beach and sipping a beer. That's great. But what's going on Monday through Friday, you have to understand it's hectic. It's extremely hectic. And in most African countries, especially ours in Liberia, you have to get down on ground and really see the lay of the land, meet people, connect, and network. Liberia, of course, is easy for me because I have family here, I have friends here, but most Liberians that come, you know, with their different ideas, it's not like we have a portal for job offerings. Let's say something like that. I would say visit the place first and look for jobs. Not many outside of the UN and USAID have virtual listings, so you have to come down and really say, hey, but you can go to any bar, any restaurant, talk to anyone, and they will connect you. That's how things happen in Liberia, at least. And I think it's the same for most countries. There's always the expat group, or the diaspora returnees, and they all network together. I know in Liberia we have an expat list, so you actually have to like submit your email. I guess they do some type of screening process where people can just put listings like, "Hi, I have a new opening at my office," or "Hey, I need a American or a MacBook adapter because mine blew up." Those types of things. Those communities are there, and they're great, especially for people who are just transitioning. But you're not gonna find it on LinkedIn. You're not gonna find it on Instagram. Um, And I also just encourage people to come, because you might have that in your mind, but come and see if you can even make a vacation. You know,
Right.
yes, the continent is beautiful. It has so many resources, but it's not an easy place to be. I'm sure you can attest to that,
Oh yeah.
O'Shea.
I was complaining to you about the mosquitoes getting me. So we was talking when I
Like,
was in Uganda, and I
I
had some
just put
complaints.
like
I ain't gonna lie.
cortisone on 5 mosquito bites before we got on this call.
Oh my god. You know.
So, I mean, things like that, um, mosquitoes, people, when you come and visit, you have malaria medication for that time period that you're there. But what happens when you have to live here? You have to make
Mhm.
those decisions. Some people I know, they start taking like a monthly, dosage of something that kind of helps fight it off. I just took the road of, let's get malaria a lot, which I did in my first year. I was sick almost every month, and just get your body, used to
Mhm.
it. And I remember when I was sitting with my cousin one day, and and I'm allergic to bug bites. So when I get a bite, it like swells up and it's red. So I always look like something's going on. People are like, she okay? Um, and we were sitting, and she saw all the bites, and she was like, "Do you have malaria?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh my god, you're a real Liberian now." I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah." But then there's also crazy things like, O'Shea, you remember this story? Um, we were doing a shoot. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago in
Yeah.
broad daylight.
Oh yeah.
You remember this? Yeah. So
Yeah.
to your followers, I was shooting with a group, broad daylight. There's a checkpoint, police checkpoint behind me. We're on a bridge where there's a footpath,
Mhm.
and people are walking and they're waiting. So we're letting the last guy come by, and I'm behind everyone that I'm with. And the dude tries to grab my camera out of my hand. And, fight or flight kicked in, and I was fighting him back, not even thinking about it. But also, it's the middle of the day and people are around me. So the chances that I'm gonna get shanked are like, minimal. But
Mhm.
it was jarring, because this dude, I mean, we were fighting. I was on the ground at one point. He figured, because I was fighting him back, and I had my phone in my pocket. So when he figured he couldn't get the camera out of my hand, he went for the phone. And I just started kicking. And then I just remember my cousin who was on the shoot, she just started screaming. This is the signal in Liberia for criminals, or like, robbers. Rogue, rogue, rogue. If you scream rogue, 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 everybody will turn and they'll mob attack this person. But the position that we were at, it was right on a bridge where there's water. So when rogue, rogue, rogue was yelled out, he slipped down and jumped into the water. So I was beat up pretty badly. Broke all my nails. Had a little mini concussion, or yeah, mini concussion. But those are things that I mean, it's the same story anywhere. You can get mugged and robbed anywhere. But I remember saying this to one of my uncles, like telling him the story, and he was like, "Oh, okay, well, you're a real Liberian now." I'm like, is this the criteria? Because y'all can take that street cred out if you'd like. Because I'm not trying to die for this.
Let me ask you this, because somebody will hear all that and be like, "Oh man, I might as well stay in the States." But I mean, let's talk about the opportunities, because we were talking about it. You interviewed some really brilliant people. There's a brother that brought a pink berry there. I saw it on your Instagram. I don't know if you had that video on.
It's on
I,
YouTube.
it's on YouTube. Okay, so I saw that there was a brother that came. He was living in the Philadelphia. Well, I know a lot of Liberians are in the Philadelphia and Maryland area.
The hotspot for us.
Yeah, and then the brother came back. I think he went to Temple University. He started growing rice. Has a warehouse doing pretty good. And you were just telling me that the opportunities, if people want to partner with a Liberian business partner, there's so many things, because everything is imported, and
Right.
there's opportunities that you can do that you can't do anywhere else. Let's talk about that. What are the opportunities
Yeah.
for people that want to come in, it's Liberia or other African countries right now?
Yeah, and I can speak for Liberia. I'm not sure about all African countries, but when it comes to Liberia, one, we had a very long civil war. So a lot of the infrastructure that we had, I mean, Liberia, if you looked at videos, I saw a video the other day from the 60s and 70s, and I actually cried, because I have never seen Liberia in this way. My entire life, Liberia has been in conflict up until early 2000s. And just to see, a very self-reliant country where people, heads of states in Africa were coming to Liberia for conferences and, to sign agreements. But the war was brutal and it was bloody, and it was, we lost, I think, 250,000 people during the war. But anything that you can think of, we need help with, because even though, like we've joked a lot about the LEC, the Liberian Electric Company, but that's, I think, in a lot of African countries, they always go in and out. Um, they're trying with the electricity, but that just started to get better a few years ago. Um, there's no water system. The hydro has been broken since the war. It hasn't been repaired. Roads, we're still just getting roads to certain areas. But then think of, there are people who want to get into solar energy. I know a company that's doing that here, but in Liberia, it's one of everything, almost one of everything. So I think to have a healthy economy, competition is good. Now, I don't approve of people just jocking completely, which also happens a lot here. But from agriculture to education to health, we have a very weak health sector, healthcare sector, and not because of the very talented and very dedicated doctors and nurses. It's just we don't have the infrastructure. The machines, dialysis machines. I got sick a couple years ago and I needed an endoscopy. And I am sorry to say I did not do it here. I went to Ghana to get it, because we have that stigma in our head that people die a lot. That we have our main hospital in Monrovia is JFK Hospital, John F. Kennedy, but the local Liberian people have named it just for killing. My father actually passed at the hospital that we're speaking of, because they didn't have the medication there. So there's another avenue for that, bringing in, medication that is not expired or, of good quality. So like, yeah, basically anything that you can think of, and innovation, too, some things there are a lot of things that aren't here. Um, Agriculture, we've talked about that in depth. I come from a farming family, and I mean, almost, I would say way over 50% of our food that we eat in Liberia is imported. It's insane to think about, because there was a statistic that someone said, I made it up, I saw it somewhere, that Liberians eat 7 times more rice than any African country on the continent. We eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't, because that's just a lot of carbs. I'm trying to maintain some kind of weight over here. But like my driver comes to work and he's like this massive bowl of rice with like the heavy stew on it, and that's like breakfast. We import I would say 90% of our rice, where we have acres and acres and hundreds of thousands of acres of land that are not being used. So agriculture I'm a big proponent for agriculture, because one, like I said, I have the family farming background, but that is something that helps you be a self-sustaining nation where you don't have to, rely on people bringing things in. So, like I said, from education to healthcare, from agriculture to solar energy, whatever it may be, there is an opportunity. And a lot of the conversation over the last year with, all of the things happening in America with Black people, in my mind, when you hear building generational wealth and legacy, I know I didn't see it for myself in America, but I can see it for myself here. And not only because I am who I am, or whoever my family is, everybody can. We're not like, I would say Ghanaians and Nigerians, they are proud, like they are very, very patriotic. And I hope that, people in Liberia, as we get out of this, we're still dealing with coming out of the war. We're still dealing with Ebola, these types of things. So I think the next generation will have a little bit more patriotism, but there's so much that can be done. We need to catch a break.
Right. I know what you mean too.
Yeah.
So, because let me ask you this, because people are hearing all of this, because obviously I'm going to be honest when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to sound bad, but when I look at some of the other people who repat to Africa, whether they're African Americans, I'm going to be honest. Those people, a lot of times I see content creators, they're not really accomplished. Mm-hmm. I don't see a lot of, personal things that they were doing in the States. no academic background, really, anything like that. They're just kind of just going to Africa, kind of just struggling. When I see someone like you, I see somebody who went undergrad, I see master's degree, I see my own firm, I see somebody who was really doing well in America, living a middle class or middle class lifestyle. Not just going to Africa because you couldn't make it in America. You're thriving.
Right.
When you go through all of these things, like, are you getting your ass flipped for the camera? I remember because you called me and told me, and your cousin, you're going through, people hating on you because of who your family is. You're going through all these things, poor presidential administration, things like that. What keeps you saying, like, you know what, I can go back to Detroit. Like, I already got it made.
Yeah.
I don't have to be here. What keeps you there?
Yeah.
Dealing with the things you're dealing with versus going back.
And for me, honestly, America, I started peeping game in America a while back. I consider myself a very cynical person, and I have like a different kind of humor. So when things started to get like really tense in America, I was just like, okay, the tides are changing, everybody's super sensitive. Some people have rights to be, others don't, whatever it may be. And I really just started looking at America differently. When you come and you look at a place like Liberia, right? There's no credits. I mean, we do have, if you want a loan, you have your bank officer, they come, they do an assessment on your land or whatever your collateral is, and that's how you get a loan. Whereas in America, when you really sit down and you think about the system, people are fighting to maintain a positive credit score to be able to mortgage a house for 30, 40 years that you never really own, or by the time you finally paid it off, you're old. Leasing cars. It's just like this cycle where it's like you're almost like conforming, to work a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or whatever it may be, slaving, away. And it's like I feel like you're walking in place. You know what I mean? Like you're walking, but you're not progressing anywhere. So that's one thing for me. And of course, personally for me, my family being here, just I think as you get older, you want to be where your family is, the majority of your family is. But I will say this, because I have a lot of Liberian friends who are in the same situation as me, who have come back and they're like, I'm out. The same for me. To live, especially in Liberia, it is, when they say you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. No, I honestly believe that you can put me anywhere on this planet and I'll be fine. During the campaign, I was the national events coordinator for my uncle's campaign. I mean, it was a great experience. I got to travel all around the country, see places I've never seen before. I left when I was 4, so I don't remember Liberia, only through pictures, meet the people, but that doesn't mean the people were nice, like, it was very eye-opening experience for sure. But it's not for the faint-hearted. And let me not act like I'm over here and I'm being strong. Like things that I've almost packed up my bags like 100 times. 100 times. I've cried over things that people would not even understand. Something basic like, in America, when somebody got roaches in their house, they dirty and they get, is in the ghettos in a bad place. Roaches just be in, like, you can, I'm sure the president or vice president or whoever, they probably see roaches every once in a while. I encountered a flying roach when I first moved here. I cried that day. Lizards, we have a lot of lizards, and sometimes they get into the house, through the little cracks. So you'll just be laying in bed, there's a lizard on the ceiling. You're like, so I'm not going to sleep here because if this thing falls on me, I'm going to die. But those are just like, I mean, you really have to have the mental to stick it out and really set your expectations low. See, for me, it was a learning curve for me because I'm very high stress. I'm very intense. So, you have to go with the flow, or you're going to be pushing back. You're going to be pushing waves off of you every 5 seconds because, like I said, you don't control your destiny, or you don't control your time in Liberia. The police at the checkpoint do. The pem boys, the motorbike guys swerving in and out of traffic, they do. Traffic is horrendous in Liberia. We only have a 2-lane road going back, 2 lanes on each road going back and forth. They're expanding the road now, but I mean, those are things that push back against you and could break anyone, day after day after day of this stuff that you go through. So I think that, especially for Liberians, I can speak to that. You have to have that in your heart. And I always say, it's very interesting to see, like my mom, I have a younger sister, and I don't think I'll ever live in the US ever again in my life. I barely want to go visit. The only reason I want to go visit is to see my friends and family that are still there. Beyond that, I could really care less. I really have no, no desire, especially right now. Everybody's like, "Are you gonna come back?" I'm like, to sit in the house with you with some mask on? No, I'm gonna wait.
That's one thing that when I was in Uganda, I missed that. It was freedom. You can move around. You could go to restaurants. It was
I mean,
curfew,
and look
but
at the COVID situation in Africa is completely different than it is in
oh
the
yeah,
US,
oh
Europe.
yeah, yeah.
So, those types of freedoms, like you said, the freedoms, you don't work the 9 to 5 check-in. I mean, I will say that we real relaxed, we're real relaxed, but you can have a life, you can have a social life, you can
Mhm.
have and enjoy your life where you're not slaving away all the time. And people respect that, and institutions respect that here. Where in America and Europe and all these other developed nations, working 100 hours a week is viewed as good. Like,
Mhm.
we gotta hustle. I don't sleep. Team no sleep. No, you need some
Yeah,
sleep. You need
yeah,
sleep.
that's definitely
Um,
American.
yeah. So there is it's a little piece of everything, but I know, um, when I was in America, I had stress. I have a lot of stress here. Trust me. Today, if you want me to tell you a story,
Go ahead.
okay. I am. I like AC. Okay, I love AC. Um, my Most people can handle the heat. I can't. I lived in Detroit, so it's like, we have a body core temperature that's different than other people. So I like it like iceberg. So my room AC is the most important AC in the entire apartment because I need to sleep like on chill. So call the AC guy, which is every time he comes, it's at least $60 USD to service the AC. $60 USD. I know people are probably like, "Oh my God, that's $60 for every time that he comes. He has to service it. He has to change the Freon or whatever he be doing." So he came and changed it. What's today? Friday. He came to fix it on Wednesday. He left, and then when you're not home, you have people in the compound, or I have the lady that works with me at my house, so she's here during the day. So of course he leaves. When I come back, the AC's not working. So I call him back. He says, "Okay, I'm gonna come back." Yesterday he comes. I'm like, "Come early because I have meetings." He came early in the morning. It was cooling. By the time I came back in the evening, it was off again. So that's 2 nights now I have slept in heat. Of course, I have a fan, but it's not the same for me. Um, 2 hours today, I made him sit here with me, and I said, "Wait, at least an hour. Let's see if this is gonna work." Those are the things that makes me want to tear my hair out. But these are things that you have to deal with. These are things that and if these things bother you, then you're not gonna make it here because you have to really look at it from a whole different perspective than you would in the Western world.
No, those are true things that I unfortunately for me I was going through it too. Not to that extent, but definitely Uganda has its challenges, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that your channel, because you don't get to see a lot about Liberia, but you talk about the struggles
Mhm.
and the obviously the benefits, because there's a lot of opportunity. You operate your own firm out there. You're always around talented people. I love that about your channel. Let's talk about your course, because
Mhm.
um, I'm now a proud owner of it.
Woo!
What does your course talk about, for because it's really catered towards people who want to move back and do what you do, right?
Yeah. So last year I had the opportunity, which for all the travel people, Travel Noir, one of the biggest travel clubs, black travel clubs in the world. I actually got connected with them, which was super exciting and still is. And what ended up happening through that relationship is I hosted a free masterclass for the public, but I curated and filmed and edited with the help of my friend Prime, a 6-part mini course that talks on general subjects surrounding what your mindset should be when you're thinking about making the move to the motherland. That's what it's called, making the move to the motherland. And we touch on things, that people wouldn't think of. So basically, I took my experiences of everything I did wrong in the move, or things I wish I would have done differently when I moved, and put that into a video format. Touched on things that people should really consider before they get up and say, "Oh, I'm going to make this move." Yeah, so I was able to put it was only available for the members on the app at the time. But I'm now taking the course, and I've put it on my website. I've shared it. I even shared the first introductory video on my YouTube channel, so people can get a feel of what it is. It's really like a lighthearted conversation about what you should not do when you're considering this move. So the topics range from preparation is key. I always say that you think you're prepared, but you're never really. You can prepare. You can pack, plan. But you'll never be fully prepared, right? So I'll give you an example. I had gotten my things together, and I put it up on a container. I packed it up, thinking I'm gonna send it 2 months before, so it's already there. I came here and I didn't get that container for like 3 months to get it shipped. I don't know, it was lost somewhere. And then once you get to the port is like, the only thing I can compare it to is like a WWE like wrestling match or something. I mean, I saw fights there. People are yelling. There's just a lot of action going on. So those are things that you wouldn't think about, right? When you're preparing to move. So it's like logistics, but it's also mindset too. And one of the episodes we talk about just throwing everything you think out of the window. Just throw that all out, because you can watch my YouTube channel. You can watch whoever. You can watch O'Shea's in Uganda, and you still wouldn't get to know what it is until you're on the ground and you experience for yourself.
No, that's absolutely. And then, let's share the price, which I think is a steal. How much is it?
Because when it was offered, the membership fees at Travel Noir, I'm not going to, you guys can check that out on your own, but the course is actually valued at about $500. When you're talking about the video and the editing and, the thought process that went into it, I'm offering it for $29.95. And I really think that, and if you buy the course, you can sign up for a free 15-minute chat or consultation with me. So whatever you pull from that video, or from the series, and it's an easy watch too. It's not a long, each episode is maybe 3 to 6 minutes depending on the topic. And then you can, I guess that's the biggest prize. Like you sit down, you watch this video course, and it gets your wheels turning, and then you can follow it up with a phone call with me, and we chat on some things, and hopefully get you in that mindset to start making or getting the steps to making the move to the motherland.
And guys, that's a great steal. $30, and you with one of the most, talented people who's, from a really good family in Liberia that understands exactly what's going on. You can't beat that, right? It's one of our best people that are there. So definitely support her. She's doing a really great job. She knows, she look at her YouTube channel. She's definitely legit. And to be able to offer that back.
YouTube channel too.
Subscribe, yeah, don't be hating. and then to be able to have a person like her at our service, right, in this community. It's such a great thing, because she doesn't have to do this, right? Let's just be honest. Like, there's some people that are, I call them, call them struggle streamers. She's not one of them, right? So she is
struggle streamers.
I call them struggle streamers. We got a lot of struggle streamers out here. She's not struggle streaming, y'all. So she's a person that, Uncle ran for president of a country. Okay. So that lets you know she ain't trying to tell you what's going on. But if her uncle ran for president, what did that tell you? She knows what you're talking about, right? So so let's support her and what she's doing. She's giving back to the diaspora community.
I appreciate that.
Really
And what I want to say too, the course is not only geared towards Liberia. Of course, that's my perspective because I'm Liberian. But these topics cover any part of Africa. I'm not sure about Northern Africa. That's a whole different ball game over there. But ECOWAS, East, Central, South, they're all very basic. I wouldn't say basic, but general things that you need to consider that, you know, a lot of people don't. And I think one of the biggest keys or takeaways that you get from that is, you know, as we travel and all these things, I've always used to hear Americans have this like, oh, you know, foreigners don't like Americans, and, you know, they're so brutish and they don't have, you know, any, you know, couth or anything. And I really didn't understand it until I moved to Liberia. Now I'm looking like, oh, he must be visiting from America. Oh, she's not from here. So just having a perspective that's not so you know, so like sheltered, so bubbled. I think it's really important just to get the wheels turning, just get your thoughts rolling, and then it also prepares people to, once they get on ground for that visit or to survey wherever they are thinking to move, things you need to look out for when you're on the ground.
All right, and so what we'll do is we'll include that in the first comment to pin to the top, the YouTube channel, the course, and we'll put all that there. And right now, I know that you're busy. I know because obviously you had an outage and you were able to come back and talk with us. I definitely appreciate you. It's been a long time since we did this. Hopefully, we'll do it sooner again.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year. But any last words you have for the people today?
Thank you all for listening to me talk for this almost hour. Really thank you, O'Shea. He has been like the OG godfather to me in this whole YouTube game. I really appreciate it. And I really love the community of YouTubers that I've fallen into. I hope I can get some new subscribers here today. I love engaging with all my subscribers, all my followers. Follow me on IG. I am an Instagrammer. That's my area. As we say in Liberia, that's my area. I really show you the day in and day out through IG stories and posts and show the beauty of the country. So yeah, I mean, I'm praying for everybody all around the world. Let's get ourselves healthy this year. Get this COVID thing under wraps, and hopefully I can have you guys visit Liberia soon.
All right, guys, and as you know, keep it real, King Ghana forever. We are out.